Hey everyone, JP here from AI Foundry with my opinions on what's going on with the AI data centers and what Chloe from the Green Party announced late last week, with the desire to pause the data centers. The liquid cooling problem, the heat problem, and the alternatives. So this is an opinion piece. I just want to be part of the conversation because for the last 2 years I've been following this space. And it's funny because I knew we were going to get here. I just didn't know it was going to be so political and that people would be protesting about it. So, let's get started. So first I want to discuss, and this is related a bit with the podcast that I uploaded last week. Why AI factories are different from normal data centers, and it's because of the equipment. For decades, the computer equipment that has gone into these data centers and the data halls has been very homogeneous. They don't use a lot of power. You can do a whole lot with them. And so you had equipment to save data. You had equipment to process some data. And so a lot of our digital life lives in this type of equipment. Netflix and Amazon.com and Uber Eats, like all of our websites gets processed in this type of equipment. And it wasn't a problem at all because this equipment doesn't use that much power and is cooled with air. So as long as you had a data hall with a good air temperature and air circulation, and with a decent amount of power per rack, meaning per the box that holds this equipment, right? Which usually was 5 kilowatts max per rack. And to put that into perspective, a house uses 1 to 2 kilowatts every hour. So a rack will be twice a house at max capacity, so max consumption. And so, we're talking about kilowatts hour. And so we were all happy tracking along our lives, and these buildings were in the background, just quiet doing their work. But all of a sudden, we created this thing called generative AI, which has exploded, right? ChatGPT came out late 2022, early 2023. And then Claude Code came out 2025. Cursor came out as well. And it's been an absolute avalanche of generative AI tools and solutions, which I discovered in 2024. I knew about ChatGPT, but when I saw AI coding, that was the moment for me that I knew that everything was going to change. Why? Because if you had a system that could write its own scripts and run them on a computer, meant that system could talk to anything in the world. Could call any computer in the world, could debug itself, could build things, and etc. So, early 2025 was when I learned that, I knew NVIDIA. I have worked in the NVIDIA ecosystem for a while, being a graphic designer in 3D graphics early in my career. and building, 3Ds for architecture and other marketing applications, I knew that these things were expensive. Like now the world feels what it is to be a gamer, a PC gamer, because half of your budget when you're building a PC goes into the graphic card. It's just that now the scale is planetary. And then on early 2025, I decided to understand this from the ground up. So I gathered my quotes and I called the data centers, and it was evident that one, this equipment was extraordinarily expensive compared to what we had today. It didn't do a whole lot per equipment unit. So that meant that you needed to have a lot of the equipment, and the power consumption was 10 times more than a normal server. So I knew that this was going to be a massive choke point. I just didn't know that. Sadly, across the world, and not all sites, but some sites have done this very poorly. Have built their AI factories very poorly, without consent or talking to the community, and they have caused tremendous amount of disruption and a lot of mad people, right? So that definitely surprised me. Now, going back to the topic, why is this equipment so unique and special? Well, Gen AI was born in the GPU world, or graphic processing unit. And up to today, we mostly use these GPUs to run it. Now, the fact that it was born on GPU doesn't mean that GPUs are the solution to run it. In fact, they're pretty bad at it. And because of that, and the way that they are constructed, meaning how they use memory and the chip all together, they waste quite a lot of power in the way they work. And also you require a lot of this equipment to be able to do the scale that we are asking for. So these GPU servers consume 10 times more. And the new generations, because they are trying to extract as much performance as possible from this equipment, the new generations are water cooling only. Because if you air cool these devices that get extremely hot, if you air cool them, that is not enough for the equipment to not slow down itself, to protect itself, what is called throttling. So the new generation is all liquid cool. So what people are buying today to get 7 months from now, because that's a bit the time frame that you have, is all liquid cool. So the reality is that there is alternatives. There is now alternatives to do this that consume a third of the power in some occasions and actually perform much better than GPUs. One of them, it's my partner, Positron AI, which is an American company. And if you look for Thomas Summers, one of his presentation is all about this, what's exactly happening right now. Beyond wanting to sell chips and being a successful company, one of his presentations is about what is it going to happen to the environment if we continue down the path of GPUs. And now you all know how much power these campuses of AI require, right? So here in New Zealand, Remy and DataGrid have consented the building of the first AI factory of the country, which is going to use at maximum capacity 280 megawatts. And we currently don't understand, I don't understand, and from what I search in the media, I don't understand if it's liquid cool or air cool. I did read that Remy said that even though they have consented for using quite a lot of water daily, they don't think that they're going to use it because the cool climate might be able to cool down the water as it is and keep it in some sort of closed loop format. But I'm not certain if it's an open loop or a closed loop. Currently, what NVIDIA is selling, the water doesn't need to be cold. The water can be at 45 degrees, which is hot. And that will be enough. If you have enough pressure in your system, that will be enough to move the heat out of the chip and into the cold plate, as it's called, and out of the chip. So, yeah, I'll be more than happy to explain to any politician in detail why GPUs work the way they work, why they are wasteful, and what are the alternatives, including the alternative of my partner, Positron AI, and why there is why there's better ways to do this moving forward. But yeah, it is sad to see overseas, not all projects, but sadly some projects have gone not so great with the community. They have opted for gas turbines in some instances, very large installments of gas turbines to get the power required to run these GPUs. And also, yeah, one of the reasons why Elon wants to put them on space. We don't think that that is required. We just think that we need a chip that is designed for AI inference. GPUs are really good for training, but for inference, that's a whole another ball game. Yeah, so I'll be happy to teach any politician what are the two worlds and what's the differences, and hopefully we as a country can have the discussion that Chloe wants to have. I don't think it's fair, obviously, to pause the project happening in Southline now, since they have been working so hard for so many years. It's not their fault that the government is being asleep at the wheel in a way, that they didn't realize this or that the questions were not asked at the right time. But I'm happy to help guide the conversation for anybody that wants to understand. And if I have to run a workshop for people to understand what's the way forward in an ecological and also in an economically viable way, I'm happy to do so, because we don't need all the power that these campuses are creating. We don't need to be liquid cool if the correct chip is the one being deployed. And we can go back to these old boring buildings that nobody care about, but we can have AI factories that are like that. We can go back to having AI factories that are good neighbors and that, they didn't cause any problems to society. Yeah, so that's me with my opinion. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next time.